The drive back home felt like hours for Lynn Sr. Even at the hospital was only 30 minutes down the road, with Rita staying with their son until he had awakened. Someone needed to go home to find out what the hell made the nine sisters lash out at their brother. Lynn also supposed that it might have been better if he dealt with the girls first, seeing Rita might end up doing something so severe that she would regret later on. The father would have taken Lily with him, but she clung onto her brother like a vice, adamant to not leaving his side. While driving, a long list ran through Lynn's head on how to punish his daughters. He wasn't exactly sure if a simple grounding would do, and regrettably, an idea cropped up in his spanking his own children. Both loud parents were usually against this idea of physically assaulting their keen, and as they considered immoral, it might have even more rift an already fragile bond at the mind that the family had. But given the circumstances, such an option was now justified. Another idea that came into his mind was having his daughters visit Rita's Aunt Ruth every weekend. All the kids hated her visits due to her aunt's constant need of attention, whatever is showing them old pictures of fast vacations or worse, tending to the blisters on her feet. Lynn Sr. cringed at the thought, but it would help enforce a point. He would have to make up his mind soon. Before he knew it, the family wagon was pulling up into the driveway. The house was deathly silent, while the loud parrot was entered in the house. Glancing around, she saw Lenny on the couch with a tear stained in her face and red blood eyes. Well, now at least Lenny seems upset about the whole thing. What about the others? Lynn Sr. wondered. Taking a deep breath, he summoned his commanding voice. Girls! Living room now! Almost immediately, all the residents of the house made their way to the couch. Even Lynn Jr., who was still outside, heard him. Studying the looks of his daughters, it was evident that some had been crying, still had deep frowns of self-guilt, or in Lana and Lola's case, had gone into another scrap with each other. Over what, he didn't know or care at the moment. He was still surprised to see Lucy's eyes were no longer hidden, holding a stern look. I suppose you all know what we're here to talk about. They all nodded. Then he asked the soul-piercing question. Why? There was some intentional hesitation from nine sisters. The reasons varied from they acted so cruelly to their male sibling, but at the end boiled down to the exact same thing. After realizing that the arguments started yesterday were practically caused by our brother, we ended up realizing we accidentally spilling the secrets and we had about each other. He was the root of our conflict, but Lisa took her glasses off, clearing her eyes again. She couldn't even speak her usual monotone voice and was cracking even further. I'm not sure if it's the same for everyone else, but I also reminded of his other misdeeds and traits that made him no annoyance. And at this point, Lisa broke down and started crying like a natural 4-year-old. I lost control of my anger, and I even stomped on his mentula twice. Everyone was a little confused by the last part, so she clarified. His groin, the others gulped, and Lynn Sr. even instinctively moved his hand over to his package. At this point, Lynn Sr. spoke, evidently at fault, causing some damage. I twisted one of his arms until I heard the bone snap, Lynn Jr. said. Lola then spoke. I'm pretty sure I knocked a few of his teeth out. He glanced over the blood patches on the carpet. Lynn Sr. sighed. Anything else you girls want to say what you did to your brother? After getting no response, he continued. Well then, I hope you girls got what you wanted out of that fight. Your brother, your only brother I may add, is going to be spending close to a month in the hospital. Not only does he have 3 injuries that you three are clearly responsible for, but also has a broken nose, his pelvis is damaged along with his ribs, he had suffered some blows to his head, all because none of you couldn't keep a lid on your anger. His voice boomed, and his sister's visibly shaking. Just so you know, your saying sorry isn't going to cut it this time, ladies. The father sighed before sitting on a nearby chair. Myself and your mother have trusted all of you with one thing, and you could have handled yourselves without much injury. That's the same reason why this whole sister fight protocol nonsense came about. But apparently, none of you can be trusted seeing it as it went out of control very quickly. So from now on, anytime you girls start having a fight with one another, myself or your mother will handle it now. We will see fit. I've lost trust and respect for you all." He then placed a hand on his forehead in frustration. "Normally I'd discuss this with Rita first, but since she's staying with Lincoln for possibly the entire evening, I'll be saying this. You're all grounded indefinitely. Internet use is strictly for school and school use only. Any cartoons on TV will be blocked. Lori, your phone is getting parental settings on it, and you are forbidden from speaking with your boyfriend. Your driving privileges are also severely limited. Only places you'll be going to school and work." The oldest sibling looked at the floor in shame. "Lenny, you can no longer go to do anything fashion related. You can forget about your daily trips to the mall." The blonde whimpered. "Luna, no more concerts for you. Along with that, all your musical gear will be put in storage. You're lucky I'll be letting you keep your MP3 player." The brunette nodded, sniffling a bit. "Luann, it pains me to say this, but you're forbidden from doing anything related to comedy. No more puns, you cannot do any more of your video blogs, and your funny business job is also out of the window." The Joker saw this coming, but it still pained her to the heart to hear that. "Lynn Jr., you are also banned from playing all sports. Your sporting equipment will also be put in storage, and for breaking your brother's arm, you will not allow to wear anything dealing with sports, or turn anything into a sport." The jock nodded, fresh tears creeping from her eyes. Lynn Sr. looked at Lucy next, who was visibly shaking. She was going to be tough, since she usually was, well, mellow, but he did have something to figure out. "Lucy, you are forbidden from writing any poems. Your book will be kept in mine and Rita's room. Anything dealing with vampires or darkness in your room will be thrown out." The Goth gasped in shock, but didn't say anything afterwards. Next came the twins. "Lana, no mud-related things for you, and you are to keep yourself clean. All your exotic pets will be taken to the local animal shelter to be taken care of. Can't promise that they won't be given to new families." The tomboy's heart literally shattered upon the statement. "Lola, pageants are forbidden, and you are no longer to dress like a princess. Along with that, your tiaras and gowns will be put into storage." The little not-so-princess cried silently. "Lastly, Lisa, your lab is going to be given to charity, or maybe the university. I'll have to think on that. You're also going to help pay for Lincoln's medical bill. I didn't this before, but your brother also required surgery to be done on him." The 9 siblings automatically gasped at this. Lynn Sr. then decided to add more icing to the cake. "Lastly, visits to on roofs will be happen on a weekly daily basis. The girls are now terrified." Just as he thought, the girls cringed at the idea of going to their great Aunt Ruth's house. Well, besides Lana, even she didn't like seeing Aunt Ruth too often. "At any moment, you should test the waters of your punishment," the father did say, and the thought that he never have to. He took off his belt, placed it on the table. All the siblings literally paled as they stared at it, as if the devil was smiling at them, an imminent object. "Now go upstairs and think about what you've done." Without saying a beat, the children ran for their lives. Lynn Sr. almost wanted to cry from what he did, but it had to be done. He was already stated the ground rules, and there was no going back. He felt sick to his stomach, carefully put his belt back on, went to his room needing to lie down for a while. Maybe I should consult a family therapist, too. Lincoln had awoken and found himself in the dark area. He looked around for memories of what happened previously came to mind, but surprisingly, he bare no scars from that tussle with 9 of his sisters. Focusing back on the blackness that surrounded him, he lifted to find a point of reference, yet nothing came up. "Hello? Is anyone, out there?" he asked cautiously. "Oh, there is someone here, Lincoln," a voice rang out. Lincoln recognized instantly. "Lori? Where are you?" "Where am I, for that matter?" he asked with a thud. "Where she doesn't matter much, Lincoln. It's going to happen to you, and you need to be concerned with," another voice said with the small lips. "Lisa? Wait, with this prank? This isn't funny, you guys!" "Oh, I wish it were a prank, but sadly it's not." Luann's voice came out next. Lincoln looked around fearfully, attempting to run, but instead he tripped on his right leg, became stuck to something. Looking back, he sees he was chained to the floor, and he looked to free himself, when suddenly another chain shot up from the ground behind him and wrapped around his neck. Bringing him to the floor, he started to choke as it tightened. At the same time, a bright light flash eliminated all traces of darkness, revealing a blood-colored room. It was the living room of the house, yet looked as if it came from hell. "Well, what is this place?" the white-haired boy asked, fear ever present in his tone. All of his sisters, minus Lily, soon surrounded him, but instead of appearing how they usually do, they were in their demonic nature. Luann was shown to be holding a set of chains. "I hope you like these chain links." "Get it?" the other sisters groaned. "Why?" The chain on his neck tightened even further. "Why are you doing this?" Lincoln choked out. "Simple, bro. You're always the one who causes the fights in this house," Luna stated. And an easy solution, we decided to nip the problem in its roots," Lisa stated before her voice became distorted and very deep. "By eliminating you!" Suddenly, the group of demons brandished several weapons, ranging from small objects like a hammer and to heavy ones such as a chainsaw and spike gauntlets. Being restrained to the floor, Lincoln couldn't do anything to defend him. His sisters jumped. He screamed as loud as he could. In real time, Rita was resting on one of the chairs in the room. Lily was asleep, hugging to her brother's undamaged arm. The only sound in the room was that of the constant, rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. However, it soon returned to Lincoln's heart rate being into a climb, the constant beeping getting faster and faster. The mother of 11 was soon awoken by this, wiping from the sleep from her eyes before taking a glance at it. His pulse was tighter than normal and was still climbing. Rita began to fear that her son might be suffering a heart attack, but this was quelled as he stopped when he started to take his sleep. No, please don't," he murmured. The mother then realized that he was just having a nightmare and was quick to aid him, coming over and gently shook him. Lincoln, wake up!" Within seconds, the young boy's eyes popped open, screamed loudly, only for it to turn into a coughing fit in his chest. He was still sore. The heart monitor was beeping slow, significant his pulse was returning to normal. Lily was startled from the noise and started to cry as well. Rita picked up the infant daughter and soothed her while tending to her son. "You okay, Lincoln?" The middle child groaned. "Mom, where are we?" "We're in the hospital, Lincoln." "What? The hospital?" Looking around, he noticed his bandages were on his chest. His arms cast devices that looked up to him. His chest and mouth were still sore as well. My sisters, they..." Tears then started to flow from his eyes. Memories of 9 of his sisters pummeling him cropped up. Rita calmly set Lily aside of the bed and comforted the sniffling son. "Shh, it's okay, my baby boy. Everything's going to be all right." She gently stroked his head. She wished to hug him, but this might injure him afterwards. "Winkin?" Lily spoke, surprising them both. "Lily, when did you..." Lincoln started. Lily didn't say anything as much as she crawled up to her brother and hugged his face. If there was anything Lincoln could deny, at least Lily wouldn't hurt him. Lincoln used his right arm to return the gesture. "How long was I asleep?" "For several hours. You had to go through surgery, dear." "I'm not sure what they did, but I'll ask the doctor," Rita replied. The boy was about to say something when an announcement came over the PA system. "Attention all guests. Visiting hours will end in 5 minutes." Rita sighed. She didn't want to leave her baby son by herself, but there was a possibility security might escort her out. "Dang it. Sorry, dear. I don't think they'll let us stay." She then picked up Lily, who resisted. "No!" the baby whined. "Mom," she paused, glancing at her son, who then gave her a glare that would be deathly afraid of being alone in the room. "Please don't go." Maternal instincts overrode. The rule system were in place. There was no way in hell she was going to abandon her child. They needed her, especially now. "All right, sweetie, I'll go ask the doctors and see if we can work something out." Roberto Alejandro Martins Millian Luis San Diego Jr., also known as Bobby, as well for his prowess of being a hard worker and dedicated boyfriend. It was quite shocking that the lengths would go as to making his girlfriend Lori happy, even going as far as getting certain jobs just to impress her. Despite being easygoing, he could be a bit childish as such, like the one time he broke up with the loud girl just because Lincoln made Ronnie Ann upset, which to be fair, the two children had not been committed a relationship yet. But at least he means as well. After that double Jada and Jean Juan's French-Mexican buffet, the Hispanic boy got to know Lincoln better and considers him to be the little bro as he always wanted. Considering that Bobby and Lori text each other nonstop, the often two grow concerned when either one of them hasn't responding for their usual frequencies, such as a typically indicator that something was wrong, and boy, this would be an understatement of the year. Roberto spent 30 minutes rereading the text Lori had sent him, still not believing on what was on it. She told Bobby everything: the fight, the failure of the sister fight protocol, Lincoln's hospitalization, and just recently, the punishments being enforced on her, every sister except for Lily. She ended up saying this would be their last text that he would see from her for a while. Putting the phone onto his bed, Roberto was just stumped. He couldn't believe 9 of Lincoln's sisters would put him in the hospital. Sure, he was a bit angry at them for doing such a thing, but they didn't mean to, right? And speaking of Lincoln, the 17-year-old's thoughts drifted to his little sister, considering how close they would be to an allowed boyar. She would not take the news well. Giving a heavy sigh, he tossed the phone to his bed, sought for his sister. She would find out eventually, since Lincoln's absence would be apparent, and it's better that she get a head start on the grieving process.